Welcome to Auntie K's, your favorite radical queer indigenous auntie, bringing you tarot every day. Hello, folks, and welcome to Auntie K's Tarot. So, we are here today to tell some Lenormand stories. These are going to be stories based loosely on, based strongly on readings I had this week that brought out some really interesting thoughts, sights, insights in Lenormand reading. And I'm going to use my storytelling skills to set these stories into a different backdrop and give different details, but creating the same story so that I can tell these stories in a ethical way. And this happened because I watched Tom Benjamin's Fuck It, Let's Read Lenormand. And what happens when you tell an anarchist, hey, everybody's breaking the rules, it's a cool thing to do? Well, apparently she says, I wonder what it's like to try the rules. And so I drew up myself a grand tableau, actually on the back of this cloth, because this is all white on the back. And I drew it so they were all slightly bigger than the Lenormand cards, so the titles could fit at the top. But for visual interest, we are going to do it this way and use the Healing Light Lenormand to show the houses that are relevant or coming up in each little story, if it makes sense. So I had a guy call about his ex-boyfriend, and his ex-boyfriend had been harassing him and coming around all the time, and sometimes was violent, was always scary, and it's been quiet for like 4 months now, and he just wants to know if it's over, if he is done harassing him, and can he let his guard down? Can I feel safe that this is over, that he's not going to keep reaching out to me? And with the cross on the bouquet, this just feels like a combination, that screaming, that toxic, this is my soulmate, I found my soulmate, we're going to be together no matter what. And like, we can see here how into him he is. But we have these 3 cards here that are like, nope, closing this book, turn back the other way. And this is where the client showed up. And it feels like he's being like, nope, go back the other way. This isn't happening. So he seems to effectively be shutting down the ex. But how did he shut down the ex so that this is over? So that we can know this is over. And, yeah, he's saying, go back the other way. Yeah, he's saying, look, nope, this relationship is dead. But what is enforcing that? It is the client's belief in the book, the law. And we have the book in the tower position, which really just screams out like an institutional book is the law. And so the man threatening to, or having in the past called the law. And this is where I really got my confirmation of this idea, is the rider can represent a man in uniform. And the clover, it's luck. It protects you. It's got you covered. So, the man used the force of the law and called the police for protection. And that has this guy like stopped in his tracks and scared off from continual harassment. And when I said this, the client was like, oh yeah, I called the police. I sure did call the police. It was that scary. And I was able to say, well, that's what's stopping him, is he's afraid to do this. And I would say that he is afraid of being put in a 6-foot cell. And so this was this reading here. And these were the two key parts of the answer as to why. And that's what the client wanted. Why is he not going to keep calling? Because knowing why he's done harassing is what is going to make the client feel safe that it's over. And that's the man in uniform that protects and has you covered, and the institutional book of the law. And so let's move on to our next story. In this story, I used the pink sugar Lenormand for the story. That's where I got this particular story. And some of it was just the imagery. So this is a story where the image of the snake means more than the actual what is a snake. So we had a woman who wants to know about the paper lanterns she hung in her yard. And when I saw this combination, I was like, oh, there's your paper lanterns. And it happened to be by the woman and the garden. So I see her paper lanterns here. And she just wanted to know, like, you know, some of the paper lanterns came down, and she wanted to know, was it her grandkids who were visiting over the weekend? Were they playing too rough out in the backyard? Did they knock down the paper lanterns, or did she just not secure them well enough? And the clouds are here. The clouds are here. We have a string in the garden, a string of lights in the garden. And we've got some bad weather coming towards the lanterns in the recent past. And so I said, no, it was weather. They were not secured well enough for the weather coming in. And so this was really short and simple, but I was really fascinated by how this snake looks like a string. And while I almost always use my Rana George, I had opted to use this deck. And I don't know if I would have seen, you know, a string of lights with any other snakes. So I drew the right deck. My cats are after this, the light on this phone. I hope I recovered it and got everything back in. So this was a reading where I don't remember what house everything was in or any of them, so I assume that wasn't relevant. But I had a person call about a house they were looking to buy. And they wanted to know, you know, was this a good decision neighborhood-wise? They said it's a nice enough neighborhood. It's not like the neighborhood they grew up in, and they want to know if it's a safe neighborhood, a low crime neighborhood. And so let's take a look at this. Now, with the fox and the mice, you could say maybe there is, but I'm going to show you how I saw this. We have the fox, who is somebody who like works pretty hard. The anchor is like, you know, a security. And we have the whip, who also works really hard. And I saw this as like, this is a neighborhood full of working class people. And this is a combination of houses and some low-rise apartment buildings, you know, like a 3-story walk-up. I use this deck, and that's how I saw that, a 3-story walk-up and houses in this neighborhood. And the client confirmed, yeah, it's a working class neighborhood. Yes, there's a mix of houses and 3-story walk-ups. And that's what, she specifically was concerned about. And I said, the people in this neighborhood, they really see their homes and living here as a gift. They are hardworking. They see their homes as a gift, and they're quite protective of their homes. The crime you are going to experience in this neighborhood is a small, low-level crime that, from teenagers. They might break into the odd car. Maybe they're smoking some weed on the corner. But it's just low-level teenage crime that you are going to find in any community. They have very protective parents. It's not that the parents aren't doing their job. The parents are very protective, but they're teenagers. All right, that was my cats being cats. Hopefully I've got this back into frame okay. But yeah, the parents are, they're protective. So the situation we have going on here is just, it's the type of crime, if you want to call it, that you are going to see in any neighborhood, because every neighborhood has teenagers, and amongst every pocket of teenagers, there are those who are acting out and those who are rebelling. Just don't leave your wallet in your car, and don't leave your tools on your front porch. And the client was satisfied with this answer and even admitted that, they weren't the most well-behaved teen in their teenage years, even though their mama made them go to church all the time to behave better. So, this was the situation, and she decided that was the reassurance she needed. All right, in this final story, our client is a woman, and she has been told she is getting a promotion in 8 weeks. And this is the 8th line of the Lenormand spread sitting here. And we have the fish, the whip, the tower, and the bear. We see money coming from hard work, recognized at work by her boss. And so this looks pretty positive, and I'm seeing the boss as having respect for her because he is in the moon position. But, the fish sitting in the coffin position is uncomfortable. And the client is worried that something might get in the way of her promotion. And she wants to know if I see anything getting in the way of her promotion. And I am worried about the fish sitting in the coffin position. And we have the crossroads in the mice position. We have birds in the crossroads position. We have the sun in a position representing wisdom. We have mice being spotlighted by the sun. The fox in the bear position. So this is what I'm seeing out of all of this. The boss, they see the woman. They see their hard work at their job, and they are looking to give them a promotion. But she is right. There is a decision that could be made that could lead to loss. So what is that decision? So I ask, are there a group It's got to be a group because I see the birds, a small group of coworkers who they aren't so nice. They're slippery. Maybe they slack on their job a bit. And this group of coworkers, they really get under your skin because we have the snake. So it's getting under her skin because the snake's on the woman card. And the client says, yeah, there are some coworkers who drive me absolutely nuts. I think they know that I don't really like them all that much because they don't get all the work done and it falls to me and I end up having to do extra work and carrying their weight. And I'm like, the boss sees that and he respects it. And that is why you're in line for this promotion that he promised you in 8 weeks. But he also sees them getting under your skin. He can see it. And that is going to get in the way of your promotion. And my client's like, I know it is. And so, I try and play it really carefully. And I make remarks about it that are all sweet and sugary. But, my underlying impression is there. And I was like, yeah, and they totally can read between the lines. They're fully aware that what you're saying is sweet and sugary, but it's not nice. And she says, yeah, I know, but I'm just doing this to cover my ass. And I'm like, well, your boss can see that too. Like, your boss isn't naive. There's a spotlight on this, and it is going to lead to you losing this promotion because he can read between the lines too. Your boss knows that those sickly sweet comments are not nice, and he can't promote you into a position of power over these people if that is how you respond to them. Now, this client was hoping there are other ways that she could underhandedly be not nice to them and make it sound nice. And I was like, no, like you have to respond to them the way you would if you were a boss. If you were a manager of them, but there's someone over your head, you have to respond to them like that because you can't get that role where you manage these people if you talk to them like that, because we're all grown-ups and we can all see through that play. That's why it feels better, because you say, well, what did I do wrong? All I said was really nice, but we all know, and your boss knows too. And that is going to stop you from this promotion in 8 weeks. He'll retract that if this keeps up. And she said, but they're amping up their behavior because they're jealous that I'm getting this job. And I'm like, and the boss is watching. Let them amp up their behavior, but you cannot respond with this like fake niceness, because that is not managerial behavior. And so that was this reading here. So I thought I would wrap this up with a look at how wonderfully my plant Goldie here is growing and expanding. I thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. You can also join my Discord if you like. And perhaps we'll have some more Lenormand or tarot stories to tell along the way if people enjoyed this. See y'all later, folks.